Alright lads, we're back at it again with another live TWAB react. This week is the weapon TWAB, much awaited. This is where they're going to be touching anarchy, so get excited for that. Anyway, let's get into it so I can go back to work. Last TWAB of the season. Splice their way through your mom's house. Yeah, okay, where's the weapon tuning? Now we're into it. Ushing in. Ushing? Is ushing a word? First of all, can someone fact check if that's a word? I believe it's ushering, but whatever, I don't know anything. Ability tuning, armor tuning, yes, that's all good and good. We already covered one of those. Alright, here we go. Fall off min, fall off max, mean start and end, that makes sense. Use damage as an example, alright. Okay, so they're being a bit more clear with terms, that's neat. Hit scan, yes. Makes sense. Also makes sense. I think everyone knew all that already. The cones, yes, we know the cones well. I've watched a lot of Drewski vids on those. So it just sounds like they're just talking about like terminology up here so that people are all on the same page, which is good because a lot of people aren't. Always one pellet right in the middle. 4 wedges, 1 pellet each. 7 wedges, 1 pellet each. Interesting. Okay. So they're actually not as randomized as people thought, which is neat. But I'm sure that if you take a bunch of shots, if you took a spread of shots, it would still look random. Cause like, you know, I mean, it's 12 spread out over a circle, with only one of them being right in the middle. Still interesting to see, though. Legendary stasis weapons. I'm very curious. All those stasis in the kinetic slot, like crassthesia. Avoid overcrowding energy slot, which it already is. You can't say you're going to avoid overcrowding when it's already overcrowded. My goodness. I have like 3.5 times as many energy weapons as kinetic. It's crazy. Can roll stasis perks. Generally intense stasis perks with similar freezing effects have a kill trigger, this being easy enough trigger in PvE and fun to use but not obnoxious. Okay, that makes sense. Though I fear that a really good player is just going to slay out and freeze everyone all the time. But we'll see how that plays. What's up, cuties? How you doing, Sensing? Spencer? How's everyone doing? Increase controls permanent plus 100 handling buff. You see more people using the quick swap glitch. What do you mean? Okay. I'm curious to see how they fix this. I'd also like to point out that even with the quick swap glitch, as they're calling it, even with that in the game, handling is still extremely useful. Like, it's still, even with being able to quick swap, it's still what I want, like, 99% of the time. Primaries are potentially interesting. Yes, I do agree. Infinite ammo is interesting. Okay, plus reload speed, minus mag size. Curious to see how that plays out. What is this? We're reading the TWAB for Destiny 2 live. Very exciting stuff. Compact arrow shafts, upside of increasing reserve ammo likewise. Plus reload, plus handling, that's nice. I mean, it's on a bow, so it is what it is, but... Notes on Fighting Lion and Sweet Business. Okay. I was going to ask how Fighting Lion's going to react to that, because it is a primary grenade launcher. Know what else is extremely useful? Do enlighten me. Power farming trials weapons is more efficient in season 15. We have some cool new perks for players to play with that we want to put on trials weapons. Okay, so they're gonna improve. It sounds like they're going to improve the trials farm, because right now it kind of sucks. Like, to get a trials weapon, it's not rewarding at all. And if they can fix that, it'll probably repopulate the playlist quite a bit. All trials weapons. So when they say all, I'm assuming that means all, and that means not just adept. Which is good, because that increases their value a lot. Thank you, Pally. When Max Trials and weapons launched, we reissued several weapons. We saw how frustrated players were at having to rewrite their favorite rules. That was an overcorrection. Certain perks on the original pools had become part of the identity of a weapon. Moving forward, the guidelines for reissues will be to remove the least useful 2 to 3 perks and add 2 to 3 newer perks that give the weapon some new options and may result in entirely new top tier roles. Okay, so they're not gonna bump up old weapons, but they're gonna make it so that new weapons are still useful, which is good, because moon weapons kind of bad. They're fixing that. Good. Adding new perks there. God, this is a long TWAB. That's amazing. One of the original perks to winter both columns for Dreaming City weapons. Very cool. Yeah, that's fair. Reissue Dreaming City weapons weren't too bad. I don't remember the exact perks on Twilight Oath, but Tiger Spite's fine, and Abide the Return is just a sword, so whatever. But I appreciate that they're recognizing this, because not being able to target farm things, what them saying yet, is a big deal. Archetypes, here we go. This is where it gets interesting. Breach grenade launchers are increasing as a pain point. They always have been. Shotgun nerf, we're seeing a small increase in usage. It's not small. Champs aims to reduce the ease in getting big splash damage for priming or cleaning up targets. We'll watch how things change and make further adjustments in future updates. Compensated for how they perform in PvE, okay. Reduced blast radius by 0.4 meters, good. Max blast radius decreased by 4.55 to 4.15. Okay, that's just an example. They did say that, I'm just blind, okay. Reduced splash damage by 20, good. Safe in PvE, smile. Exactly. Increased damage in PvE by 12%. Small overall buff. Witherhoard unaffected. We're still going to see lots and lots of Witherhoard in control, I am sure. Especially if it's unaffected compared to other grenade launchers, because it's just free damage. It's just free area control. It's never going to go anywhere unless they destroy it, and I hope they don't, because it's a great PvE weapon. Machine gun usage is surprisingly high. Are you sure? We felt that they weren't fulfilling their intended role in high difficulty content. 20%. That's kind of nutty. Alright, glad I have a good corrective measure now. Increased damage versus minors by 15%. That's good. I wonder what enemies will be able to one-tap then with like a 140 RPM hand cannon. To do some testing once the patch is out, but it's gonna make these feel way better. Benefited indirectly from the mid-season 14 shotgun nerf, but fusion rifle subfamilies weren't as different from each other as we want. Hope they come out with another aggressive frame fusion, because those fire horizontal and they're pretty cool. Okay, so they're not doing this, but they're talking about it as it's something they had done before. I didn't like it in Destiny 1 either, because it didn't function right. As they're saying, there were networking issues and it would just be weird. It only felt like they were consistent really up close, and that is just shotgun range, so. Burst rate of fire? Oh, I see, yeah. Yeah, I don't think that would have been enough to change the identity of anything. Increased PvE damage. Bonus. 50% PvE buff. Good. Yeah, I mean, rapid fires always just kind of felt like the most bang for your buck. Because they also had deeper ammo reserves. Power adjusting charge time, shots fired per burst. Okay, so they're going to change that. Let's see. I'm sure they'll outline that below. Let's see. Charge slower, okay. A full second, interesting. Okay, so this also means that the 860 charge time was like 0.860. That's just how that connects. Okay, cool. Down from 7 to 5 and reducing total damage per burst. Charging with the open super risky, but pre-charging around corners or otherwise in safety is very effective. I'm curious to see what the damage numbers are and how that will affect PvP, because right now I believe with high impacts you only need 4 bolts to kill. I think they do 49 damage each. Reduced. So they must have that changed somehow. These are probably not going to be the play in PvP anymore. Precisions and adaptives are close to unchanged. Okay. Change to 7. Charge time unchanged. Increased total damage. Good. Good. That's fine. I have good rolls on several adaptives and a plug 1. And plug 1's really the only precision in the game that you can get that's not garbage. So, fair enough. Charge faster. Line to be used reactively. Interesting. 0.46 is super fast. 9 bolts is going to be wild. Increase total damage per burst. These read like they're all PvP changes, which is fine. I'm curious to see how they feel in PvE. I think having different bolts per burst is going to be very unique, because it's always been 7 and now it won't be. Less reliant on range, more reliant on stability. Interesting. My Reckless Oracle might be bad. Nope, that's not the one. My Zealot's Reward might be bad now, but we'll see. Okay, so now backup plan still scales damage down, but isn't just a instant, like, rapid fire frame charge time. That's neat. Both are converted to scale charge time and damage instead of modifying the charge time stat for liquid coils and accelerated coils. What does this mean? So they won't change the charge time stat, but do they change the charge time? I think so. That's kind of weird that they won't change the charge time stat on the stat screen. Whatever. That's fine. Okay, so this doesn't adjust damage anymore. That's good. Adept charge time mod was always just bad because it would lower your damage. Okay. Alright, so they're saying charge time masterwork won't feel like a downgrade anymore, but I think that community perspective is always going to be charge time equals bad because lower damage per bolt. We'll have to see how that feels moving forward, though. I shouldn't say always worse, because you always wanted fastest charge time possible for DPS situations, but even then it was rare to have something like that where you'd want to use a fusion rifle. The only time is Atheon right now. Okay, this is good because that always bugged me that they were just out of order. Yeah, I anticipate some things will just break when this happens, but we'll see. Hopefully it works good. Exotic time. Let's see what they're doing to our boy Anarchy. Dominant for years, yes. Yes, also mandatory for certain raid bosses, very true. Selling it solo content, very true. It's not just a great choice, it is just the best choice for hard solo content. There's pretty much never a reason to use anything else. Alright, 26 to 16 is fine. And reduce damage by 30%. Wow, that's hefty. But it's still just going to be like free passive damage, so it's still going to be really good. Yeah, borderline usable as a primary weapon. True. Unified is already top notch. It does benefit from damage per bullet buff. Okay, but has slower fire rate to compensate. That's fine. Slightly lower DPS, but higher burst damage and sustained damage. Okay, I think I'm fine with that. 120 to 90 isn't, I mean, it's like you take off a quarter of the original fire rate, but that should be fine. It's gonna fire, it's gonna feel weird at first. What I hope they do is change it so that right now what happens is that if you're shooting Xenophage and you go to tap fire it like a semi-auto weapon, it has a much lower fire rate than if you hold down the trigger constantly as though it was full auto. I hope they fix that so you can tap fire it at the same fire rate. Which is like a very small nitpicky thing to want, but I'm always inclined to tap fire it because that feels more precise. Alright, fighting line, always been fun and not dominant in PvE, so we weren't worried about the impact infinite ammo would have there. Yes. It is worth looking at in PvP, I do agree. There's ammo increased from a lot to infinite. Same changes as other breach, good. Reduced base reload stat to 0. Alright, reloads very, very slowly. That means the exotic perk is more useful. Load speed to its previous level on damaging multiple enemies with one grenade. Okay. That's fine. I think this will be okay. And yes, you shouldn't be manually reloading it anyway. Because, like, the whole perk is that it reloads itself when you use it right. I don't even know how you use it right, because I don't really use it that much, even though I should. They're changing Vex Mythoclast. Thank the Lord. Shipping a dominant weapon that has incredibly low ownership would break PvP. Indeed. Aim for balance by erring on the side of not letting it ship too strong. However, felt short of balanced correct. Ship is higher now, and we want it to be strong enough to be a desirable reward from Bolt of Glass. Poor enough for Huey? Maybe next week. PvE damage increased by 40% is a lot. Gonna be best in slot for autos. Great. Increased stability. That's already what the catalyst does. It bumps it up to 100 if I remember. So that's gonna be gnarly. Grant stability and damage after a kill. Okay, so that's like when I had crowd control in Destiny 1. That's good. Faster fire rate 2. This is almost cutting the linear charge time in half. That's crazy. And no longer loses. Alright, I'm just going to main this weapon for now. This thing's going to be so good. Jesus Christ. Pardon the noises outside. That's going to be so strong. Yeah, I mean, Vex Mythoclast is going to be insane for Grandmasters next season. Especially with this change to the charge time, it's going to feel a lot better to use. Increased damage, and like it's going to have crowd control now. Shoots faster. It's going to be better than any high impact auto in the game, that's for sure, because they all kind of suck right now. Plus the range stat, true. I am very, very excited to use this. I already liked using it now, it just felt fun, but now it's going to be like fun and effective. I'm recording a video. Alright. The catalyst done? I don't. I wish I did. Alright, merciless time. Touch this anyway because the fusion rifle changes. Yep, may as well do some stuff if you're already in there. Did a perk to account for fewer shots per burst. Okay, so the charge rate's going to build up at the same time. I didn't realize that The perk initially accounted for how many bolts you hit on one target. Interesting. This is neat. Reduce the damage penalty? Gnarly. Hey JD, how you doing? We're about halfway through this one. That's crazy. This is a massive TWAB. Yo, Tune. Avoid breaking the weapon. Good choice. Didn't mention it. Someone would notice. Alright. So charges 0.04 seconds faster and Slayer reduce damage per shot. That's fine. I don't think anyone's gonna be upset about that. Bastion. Already super low usage in PvE, so we're buffing it there too. Good idea. Reduce damage by 15%. Can now not quite kill a guardian with one shot and a 3-shot burst. It fires. Interesting. I like different haircut. No haircut here. Increase spread angle by 10%. Okay, that's quite the PvP nerf right there. Its main strength was that you could one burst one person and then do a 180 and one burst another person. They're giving it a 10% buff in PvE, alright. Might get some more usage there, being the only kinetic fusion. Also, it has intrinsic unstoppable, so that is useful. We'll have to see how that goes. Okay, so they gave Sweet Business Overflow. Cool. Except not overloading the mag, just refilling. Interesting. Firing line, reduced damage to plus 20% for all supported weapon archetypes. That was variable? I didn't know it was variable. I thought it was just a flat 25 to everything. Whatever. This perk is almost never seen because there's almost no weapons that have it right now. But cool to see that it'll roll on stuff in the future. I have a few weapons that have it. Some damage perks only affected impact damage on explosive weapons. That's good. To also increase detonation damage. Thank goodness, because kill clip on a rocket launcher was always worthless and they just keep throwing them on there. I still don't want the perk though. Adrenaline Junkie could be good. I've literally never used this perk once. I don't know anything about it. But I could see, like with the rocket, you could prime, you know, by getting a grenade kill, prime your rocket and then shoot a boss or something, get more damage, depending on what the scalar is. Alright, alright, alright. Cool VFX stuff. Near future. Devoting a lot of energy to the Witch Queen expansion. Yes. I think that's the end of weapon tuning, so I'm just going to go through these more quickly. Linear fusions, caster frames are still where they want them to be, so expect some tweaks. I wonder if that'll be next season. Well, still before Witch Queen, so yes, next season. We use underpowered exotics. Arbalest, Suros, Cryosthesia, Malfeasance, and more. Alright, yeah, because these four are kind of bad. Arbalest is alright in PvP, but... I mean, Suros isn't bad either in PvP, but in PvE, they're all kind of garbo. Oh, please, just let me put intrinsic full auto on like 360 RPM sidearms. It's not that I can't press the button that fast, it's just annoying. Is priming target easier than we'd like? We're looking at options for building towards faster swap speeds. Alright. Interesting. They're coming after this and also getting rid of the quick swap in the same TWAB. Interesting. Interesting. Alright, new system for giving things more of a personal identity, I guess, which is cool. I've always liked that idea. Season 15, we tweaked exotic primary weapons, generate ammo faster through ammo finder mods. Another change planned to make them more enticing in hard PvE content. Okay, to make exotic primaries more enticing in hard PvE content. That would be neat, because right now it's just like, okay, I'll run Anarchy. But next season it's going to be, okay, I'll run whatever the current meta heavy exotic is. That's what we've got for meta changes now. Very cool. I like how this sounds. I do like how this sounds. This gun. Is this Eyes of Tomorrow? Looks like it. It looks very, very pretty. Oh, never mind. It's the Ritual Exotic Launcher. Rocket Launcher. Explosive Light perk. Very good. Ooh, these are kind of hot. This looks like a Suros Auto. This looks like, oh, what's the name of that scout? Oh, another Suros Rapid Fire Frame Sidearm. That's sick. I love those. No one ever uses them, but I think they're great. First, you have the Loophole of the Prophecy Dungeon. Oh, yes. Hello. I've always wanted these weapons because they look so cool. Yeah, I don't know why they didn't launch with these, but hey, they're adding them now, so I'm happy about that. Weapons are updating the world pool, some fresh drops. Here are new weapons that you can expect to start seeing pop up in the wild. Is that like the Dead Zone rifle? Is that the Scathe Lock? That's not the Black Widow. This isn't the Black Widow, but it's the same frame, so it's going to be a 260 RPM. That looks like Annual Skate. I don't know what this is. I've never used it because I didn't play year 1. Another sidearm, always cool. This looks just like the Dead Zone rifle. I love this sniper frame because it looks neat. So I'm going to be excited to get my hands on that. Relief efforts. Or donations. Yo, donation emblem. Let's go. That emblem's actually super sick. Alright, that, I believe, wraps up the weapon changes. Nice fan art. Actually, those are, what's the word? Screenshots? There we go. There we go. Alright, I think that'll be all for the TWAB here. The rest of this is just going to be issues and stuff like that. I'm super excited to see how all these changes play out. There are some rather hefty ones. So, we'll have to see how they go. I'm very excited to see what they do to fusions. Well, I know what they're doing. I'm excited to see how it plays out. The Vex Mythoclast is going to be a monster, let me tell you. That's going to be the weapon to have. My goodness.